As you'll know from looking over my shoulder when you first arrived in this house, I'm in the market for some axolotl food. Where in the world could I buy such a thing?
I hear that it is available on Exotic Pets or Amazon.
Amazon is not a thing that I'm familiar with. How would I navigate to Amazon? What URL should I type in to get there? This is testing to see if you've actually been paying attention at any point.
You really have put me on the spot there. I believe that if you go to Kev Steve...
No.
No?
No, that site doesn't even exist anymore. It's at we'refromtheinternet.com/Amazon. That's the name of this podcast, by the way, We're From The Internet.
Oh, we have a website, do we? Called we'refromtheinternet.com.
Yeah, so if you want to buy axolotl food or video games or hair products or anything you like, really, anything you'd buy from normal Amazon, you can actually buy that from we'refromtheinternet.com/Amazon, and it supports the show, which is wonderful. Hello, I'm Kev.
And I'm Steve.
And we're from the internet. Why are you holding your hand over your microphone as if you're whispering into it? That was weird. It was like you were shielding it from the sun or something.
Trapping in the sound.
Did you not want to dazzle the listeners' eyes?
I wanted to, make it reverb off my hand or my wedding ring and bounce back into the microphone so it come out extra clear.
Ah, I see. This is the first time we've ever podcasted in the dark. How do you feel about it?
I can't see you, which is good.
Yeah, I can sort of see you and sort of see flashing silhouettes of you because there's a video entertainment system on the go in the corner of the room that's flashing all sorts of coloured lights, and they're coming across the room at such an angle that they just smash into your scalp, and then that sort of acts as a disco ball because it's the same sort of shape, same sort of deformed sphere, and it is we're basically having a disco in here because of your head. So you've moved your head now and it's stopped. If you look down again, the ceiling is full of different colours from the reflection. Now, see, if you move your head like that...
If I look up, it disappears, is what you're telling me.
Well, if you move your head, the angle's wrong then, so it doesn't work. So you just have to trust me that there is a disco going on in here.
I'm certain it must just be above me.
It's because you've moved your head wrong. That's the problem you've got there. We are... Oh, I've got a creaky chair. I can't lean back. Hold on. Excuse me, listeners. I need to get comfortable. Oh, that's much better. I can't lean back any further than that. The chair's broken.
Sitting rather camp now with your legs crossed. You like that fella in the Money Supermarket advert?
Your legs are crossed.
You have Sharon Osbourne telling you how Money Supermarket you are in a minute.
I am wearing... I've got a pair of those denim shorts, and I'm waiting for that advert to stop airing so I can start wearing my denim shorts again. Because I wore them at MGPX, was it last year or the year before, and I was very proud of them. But then that stupid advert started airing, and I'm not allowed to wear them in public anymore.
It's brilliant because you denied they were female shorts for so long.
Well, they weren't female shorts, were they?
They are female shorts.
It'd have to be a pretty gigantic female to fit into those shorts.
They're not that big.
I disagree. I think we should take my shorts out on the road.
I get the bus with women that would destroy you.
Well, if I give you my shorts to take home with you tonight,
they wouldn't fit.
Take them on the bus tomorrow and offer them out to any of these women, and I bet they'll be too big for them. No woman will fit in my shorts.
No woman wants to get in your shorts.
That's always been my tagline. No woman will fit in my shorts.
So, good week?
No.
A week off?
It's been a horrific week.
Why?
Because I've had my landlord inspection today, which was fine. It went okay. But you may have noticed, on occasion, this house is a smidgen untidy.
Just a smidge?
Yeah, so we've spent the last 8 days, I think, all day, every day, cleaning and tidying and putting stuff away and polishing and cleaning windows. And I had to get down on my hands and knees like a commoner to scrub. Well, I started to scrub a floor, and then Anna finished it, because obviously I can't do a proper job of it. But for a few minutes, I was down on my hands and knees with a sponge in my hand, and it's not a life that I would like to live. I'm not built for it. I don't know if you can see because it's dark. I've got rough skin on one of my knuckles now. I need new moisturiser.
So you did all that, and not 1 second of that cleaning time was spent cleaning our studio out. So we're recording your living room because your studio is a mess. Well,
where do you think all the stuff from the house went?
Yeah. Well, spend some time cleaning that up next.
No, look, have I mentioned that I've got rough skin on one of my knuckles now?
Also,
I need a week of leisure now to recover.
Is this lots and lots of 8 days of housework the same equivalent as the 2 books you read in 3 days, and then it turns out you just listened to them on audio tape, where you're actually just watching somebody else do housework, which is just the same thing.
It wasn't audio tape. I'm not. I wasn't listening to them in the 60s. I was using a smartphone. And how would you describe it? I read 2 books this week. I read The Martian and I read Ready Player One. They're 2 novels. They're the only way you can consume them.
To them.
But it's the same thing.
Yeah, but
it took longer to listen to them than it would have taken to read them.
The conversation was, I've just started reading the Hunger Games book yesterday and I'm already halfway through book 2. And you went, I too have been reading books this week and I am nearly finished my second one. So I thought, well, when I finish reading the trilogy, which I have, I will ask you how you got on.
Well, I finished both books, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I've also started reading. I did the little air quotes there for people who can't see us. Well, you can't see us. We're in the dark. You don't know what I'm doing. But I've restarted Insurgent, the second book in the Divergent series.
That was rubbish.
It is rubbish. But I'm writing a young adult novel, so I want to read every young adult novel that's ever been made into a multi-million-dollar movie, so that I can steal the. Let's face it, it's trash, but if that's all you need to do, all I can tell, from what I can tell, Divergent is just a girl who's miserable all the time. She's just always miserable. That's it. Always having a moan, always miserable. Sometimes she has her hair cut short and wears a leather jacket and gets a tattoo and then is miserable. But by and large, she's miserable. So I reckon I can pen misery.
Yeah, that sounds right up my street. I could probably pen that quite well as well.
Yeah, you just have to put yourself in the body of a 16-year-old. Rephrase that. Hold on. You need to put yourself in the mind of a 16-year-old girl.
I'm probably in the mind of a lot of 16-year-old girls at the moment.
I don't know if that's something that you should put out there on the internet.
Yeah.
The scary man who won't leave me alone.
I was going to say.
You're in their nightmares every night.
But no, I quite enjoyed the Hunger Games. My brother-in-law told me if he read it before the films and didn't realise, he didn't think it was pitched at young adults at all, really. He just read it because it was all right. Just bought it. It was just
so the fact that the protagonist is a 17-year-old girl, that didn't tip him off.
Well, but should it? I mean,
yeah, because every book where the protagonist is a 17-year-old girl is aimed at teenage girls. That's how literature works.
I don't know. Because, she doesn't mention her age for quite a while in the first book, I think, if I remember rightly. Because I remember thinking, oh, she's 17. Didn't really guess that from the films.
You're an idiot.
I'm not an idiot. They just don't reference it in the films.
She's got a young daughter. Isn't she... Not a young daughter, a young sister. And hasn't she just left school, or is still at school, or is just leaving school or something?
She just traipses around in the woods hunting game, which made me think she's probably... older. Plus, I always read stuff and assume everyone's my age.
What, 50?
Borderline 30. Although I didn't read this thinking she was 30. I knew she was younger.
You knew she was 17 because she says so right at the start, I think.
She probably does. But
because you weren't listening to the audiobook. I listened to that series on audiobook as well when I read that.
I genuinely thought you'd sat and read the books. I think.
I wish I had. I wish I had time to sit and do nothing.
Time. You've told me you've read.
It takes much longer to listen to the audiobooks, but it means when I have these days where I'm doing my housework, I can just plug in and listen to my reading, listen to my stories.
Make me feel like I'm.
It's not a little lie. I've read the Hunger Games.
Not up to scratch with the
I've consumed the Hunger Games book. That means I've read it. Surely.
I sit there and think I haven't had time to read all these books. He sits there and all the books you read on writing. And,
I read all them. I
was going to say because
I tend to read non-fiction and listen to fiction because fiction sends me to sleep if I. Says the author. Fiction sends me to sleep if I try and read it for too long.
See, whereas I found it's a way of legitimately getting out of housework. If I watch TV, I have to do stuff around the house. If I play a game, I have to get off and do stuff around the house. But if I'm reading a book, no one disturbs me.
Why?
I don't know. If I knew why, then I'd try and make that work for gaming, but it doesn't.
If anything, reading books gets me in more trouble than any of those other activities. The regular moan I am given is I never see your face. All I ever see is the back of your iPad. So that one over there, who I can't tell if she can hear us or not, she'd rather I was playing a game or watching TV than reading a book. I live in topsy-turvy land compared to old sheepdog.
You do, though, because that's in your world, you think reading a book involves putting something in your ears.
Reading a book is consuming the words from within a book.
No, it's not.
Of course it is.
Reading involves using your eyes.
Reading is about using your imagination.
Nah, that's called imagining stuff.
Nah, it's all about letting the words paint the picture, whether you read them with your eyes or your ears.
So what shall I glance over with my eyes next? I'm at a loss now. I miss Peter and...
read The Martian. That's The Martian is about a fella who is on a mission to Mars. It's set however many years in the future. They've managed to get manned missions to Mars. He's on a team of 6 people, and there's a big storm. He gets hit by debris. Everyone assumes he's dead, so the crew leave Mars, and he's not dead. He manages to survive, get back to the big dome that they were living in, and eventually, well, it's the story of what happens when he's abandoned on Mars, and it's awesome.
Might have a look at that. Is it on Kindle Unlimited?
I don't know.
That's kind of what I'm scraping through.
I believe it's on Audible. Or Ready Player One. That was the other one I read this week, which is the
gaming book.
It's not though, really. It's a nerdy book. It's not just. It's basically a book about 80s pop culture transposed into a.
I was like
moved into a story that's a cross between The Matrix and The Hunger Games. So it's
Hunger Games.
It's a young adult, post-apocalyptic Matrix-style situation.
Tron.
I've not seen Tron. Where basically it's the guy who invented this Matrix-style system was obsessed with the 80s, and there's just loads and loads of 80s references. So TV shows, music, movies, games, comics. It's just 80s, 80s, 80s.
See, that's always a good way to fill out a story, isn't it? Reference an era and just keep hammering that drum.
And it seriously hammers it, and it's brilliant. And the audiobook is read by Will Wheaton, who does a very good job.
He stole Sheepdog's Law and made it his own.
What's Sheepdog's Law?
Don't be a dick.
You sure that wasn't his first?
Pretty sure I've been around longer than him.
I'm not sure that's the case.
Pretty sure I said it first. And anything Will Wheaton wants to say to my face, he can come and say.
Are you trying to become his nemesis? Are you doing a Sheldon Cooper? Is that what's happening here? You want to be Sheldon?
I see. So now it's somebody else's thing to be Will Wheaton's nemesis, is it?
Well, yeah, because that's been on the TV for the last 10 years.
But I've always been his nemesis since
his
Star Trek days.
You didn't know who he was in Star Trek.
Yeah,
You've never seen Star Trek. No, you didn't.
Watch Star Trek on BBC Two all the time in the 90s.
Well, you need to get out of my house, and you loser. Why have you never told me you were a Trekkie, or whatever it is?
Not a Trekkie.
Pair of tracksuit bottoms.
I was in the Stargate.
You jogging bottom. Well, it's all the same thing. If it's not a Starbucks gingerbread latte, it has no business existing. Which, by the way, on this stupid diet, I wouldn't be allowed now. So Christmas is cancelled this year. No gingerbread lattes for old Kev.
Can't you have a skimmed one?
Shut your stupid mouth. And no, I can't, because that's still milk. I could have a latte with no
Are we
milk.
not supposed to be having milk?
No.
I've been having milk
You're
in my
not
tea.
allowed dairy, you dumb nut.
I've been having milk in my tea.
Did you not read the thing I sent you? No dairy. This is why I was thinking about this earlier. This is why you're not needing the cheat days on this diet, because you're having oats for breakfast, and now you're having milk in your tea.
Since the day you told me to stop doing it.
Okay.
I don't have milk in my tea, though.
That would have meant while you were having oats, every one of them was a cheat meal. So that's why you were finding it that you didn't need them. But yeah, if you're having milk, you're now getting your dairy. That you're a monster.
Why do my teeth hurt if I'm still getting milk? I thought I was lacking the old dairy and making my teeth hurt.
That wouldn't happen. Your teeth probably hurt because you're eating real food for the first time.
They hurt because I burnt my mouth.
The thick layer of sugar that usually resides on them is peeling off and leaving disease
that's definitely
behind.
Still there. My cheat yesterday was to have something like 5 pints of Coke at the cinema.
Nice. I'm a little bit worried about this weigh-in that we've got at the end of the show, because we had a cheat meal at lunchtime today. All the cheat meals we've had so far, we've been very careful to. We had one
just led.
We had one fancy cooked breakfast. And then realised, well, hang on, we can have egg and bacon and mushrooms and all this stuff on a normal day. This wasn't much of a cheat, so we've not wasted a cheat on breakfast again. So every cheat we've had since has been dinner. So we've had fish and chips, we've had a Burger King, we've had a Chinese, but I was really craving some bread and a pork pie. So for lunch today, I had a mini pork pie, half a loaf of cheesy bread, a big bag of
If I don't beat you this
what are those
week, then
big
it's annoying.
kettle chips? I had a big bag of kettle chips and 2 salted caramel donuts and a Mars milkshake.
That's not a cheap meal.
That is a cheap meal. That would have been a meal on my old lifestyle. That would have been a normal meal. That would have been fine.
That's just falling off the wagon big time.
No, that was one meal. Tea time. I was straight back on. Had teriyaki kebab with some sweet potatoes. So I was back on it for tea time. So yeah, it was just a cheap meal, and that was just a normal meal for me before.
God,
I'd have no problem with that, and then I would have had biscuits as a snack before I had my dinner as well. So,
freak.
but because I've had all that, and I feel I've got the rumblings of early stage code brown, so I kind of feel a poo coming on. But we're gonna have to do the weigh-in before I lay an egg, which is quite convenient. I'm going to claim this is tactical. So when I don't lose any weight this week, because you're off on your hollybobs and we're recording next week's show in 2 days' time, if I have a massive poo before that show, having not had a poo before this show, it will look like I've lost like half a stone in that week that was only 2 days. That's my tactical plan.
After that, I'm going to have spent the week having grilled food at a bar and a barbecue, which will still be good, because there'll be no bread involved and all of that. And I plan on just running around the campsite playing football and racing.
See, I'm fairly confident that you can take an early lead because you've got this week of holiday. I don't think you'll be able to resist the alcohol. Your old soak.
I've been boozing my face off non-stop through this diet.
Exactly. You're not allowed to do that either. That's full of sugar. This is why you don't need the cheat meals. You're spreading them out across your life with your booze
No, it's
and
only
your
on
milk.
Saturdays that I'm boozing it up.
Yeah, but you're going to be doing it every day on holiday, so that's going to be when I establish the lead that I will then maintain throughout the rest of the challenge.
You've got to remember that I beat you the first week having gone to a beer festival a couple of days before.
I'd had 2 portions of fish and chips. If we managed to lose any weight on this, I've had 4 takeaways since we started, and you're drinking like it's running out.
Yeah,
so
I've had about 4 gallons.
This could be this January's big diet book. 2 fat idiots who drink too much and eat too much manage to lose weight. Our before and after pictures all over Tesco's. We'll be the new hairy bikers.
So, what is this week's topic?
This week's topic? I'm glad you asked. In fact, I need to check that you're allowed to ask just yet. We're at roughly the right kind of point. I'll allow this. This week's topic is Windows 10.
Ah, fun.
Which I warned you about yesterday, I believe. Thus giving you plenty of time to get it installed and having a play with it. So what do you think of Windows 10 so far?
Well, when I asked my computer to install it, it said, thanks for registering. We'll let you know when you can install it.
What, you've not got it?
Nope. I did discover late last night that I could go on a site, I think it was The Verve or something like that, and click a link, and it gave me the 64-bit downloader. I clicked that. Started downloading. After about 2 hours, it was at 30%, and then after about another 3 hours, it was at bloody 65%. And I thought, I'm going to bed. And when I got home from work today, it was gone. My computer must have restarted overnight, and it's not there. So I'll have to re-download it again sometime. But it still says in the corner, we'll let you know when you can have it.
I don't understand how people are having so many problems with it. It just worked.
I'm not saying it doesn't work. It's just, it says on there, it will let me know when my computer manufacturer is supported. So what's your laptop made by? Lenovo. They're obviously supported, whereas mine's a PC specialist. Put together one.
I imagine what they're actually doing is...
over. Your one's trash.
No, excuse me, who's got Windows 10, young man? The good people of Microsoft...
Lenovo laptops are rubbish.
The good people of Microsoft clearly think differently. You and your handmade... homemade wood and duct tape holding it together computer.
My one's been going for over a decade.
Exactly. That's why you'll never run Windows 10 on it, because it will set fire to it.
It's probably more powerful than your laptop.
Right, power test.
But no, it'll run Windows 10 fine. I just need to get it.
Would have been nice for you to do that before the...
I tried.
Before the episode. You didn't try very hard, did you? You should have tried a week ago.
I've been trying for weeks. So, is it good?
The install screen is beautiful. Did you notice how pretty the install screen was? The circle was bigger than the usual circle you'd get on an install screen. It had some nice big numbers on there.
I seem to understand that, like old Windows had that grey thing that, the start, you click the start, it comes up.
Yeah, the start
programs,
menu. And you've got a degree in this stuff,
that's
remember?
All grey. in the old ones, and then in
Yeah.
Windows 8 you clicked it and it went to a different window entirely and covered your screen.
Yeah, which was rubbish.
In the new one, it looks like it just does that in the old-fashioned way. Is that right?
Yeah, it's kind of a cross between the two. So when you press the start button on the left-hand side, you get your list of programs like we always used to. And then on the right-hand side of that, sort of double width to what the original one was, you then get a mini version of the Metro layout that was Windows 8. So it kind of, it's a 17-inch laptop we've got it on, but it kind of takes up a third of the screen when you press the start button.
See, the only thing
kind of seems a bit of a waste of time.
I like the Windows 8 way of doing it, but
That's because you're a monster.
The thing I didn't like was if I loaded, like, I don't know, Dropbox or Outlook or anything like that, that's like an app in Windows 8, it just opened it like on your phone when you go to an app and that's the only thing on the screen, and then when you leave it, it took over. I wanted to be another window on my desktop, and that always wound me up no end, because it would just basically open an app and it would be really hard to navigate back.
I think that's the same still.
Because that's the only thing wrong
because
with
again,
Windows 8 for me.
The whole point of Windows 10 is that it's the same software that runs across your phone, your tablet, your computer. So it still needs to have the dragging to close, and it still needs to work on the other devices as well. So yeah, I guess that's still going to be in there. I haven't really used it. I don't really use Windows at all anymore. Anna had a little play with it yesterday.
So why did you pick that as your theme this week?
Because I felt it would be interesting, because people are talking about it, and I wanted to talk about it. And we've had our run-ins with Windows in the past. I used to be
that one out there that when you clean it, we run into that a few times, didn't we?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we're recording in here, because I did clean those windows, and I don't want to end up back in hospital. That was about 3 years ago when I got my concussion off of the window. So I don't really want a repeat performance of that. So I think it's best, while it's dark, for me to stay in the comfort of the house.
You seem like the kind of
handsome son of a gun
sheltered oik who probably... What did you start at? 95? Windows 95?
No, later than that, probably. We weren't millionaires, you realise. The first computer... No, actually, my dad bought us a family computer probably 1996, 97. So, yeah, it might have been Windows 95, but I don't remember anything about it. The first computer I ever owned had Windows ME on it. So that would have been 2000, I guess, the Windows Millennium Edition, which, of course, made it awesome because it was the Millennium Edition.
I assumed that meant it just couldn't be bothered to do anything.
What? Why?
I'm not going to explain that joke. I can't remember when I started. It was before 95.
That's because you were millionaires. You had Sky TV and your fancy computers. Us poor people, we didn't have any of that. And we just used to play our little cricket game with pen and paper and a pencil that we'd scrape the end off of, because it was all we could. And so, if we were lucky, we'd get a clean A4 refill pad of lined paper. But sometimes, if money was really tight, we'd just have to take an old one and turn it over and do everything in reverse.
The Ford printing press house place, and used to bring home massive thick rolls of paper.
Oh, we used to have loads of plain paper and squared paper and graph paper and all, every paper under the sun apart from lined paper.
I'm pretty sure my dad needed rolls of paper. I needed
lined paper to play my cricket game, so I had to.
Well, we had all sorts.
Had to be something I'd save up. If I'd saved up a few months' pocket money, I could get myself an A4 refill of 80 sheets.
I could have wallpapered this room with my paper collection.
All right, Mr. Millionaire. So when you were flying your spaceship towards your first version of Windows, so were you back in the DOS days? Were you that? Are you that old? Because this is really proving which one of us is the oldest.
No, it's weird, because I was going to say my dad taught me how to use DOS, and it's weird thinking actually, because I don't think he could use it now if he wanted to. And but
why did your parents have a computer that long ago? What was it used for? Because the internet didn't exist then.
I think Ford they did lots of job initiative type things where they say, do you want to buy a family computer for X amount? We'll get a job.
What did you use it for? Did you have a dot matrix printer?
I played games on it.
What games? Did games exist back then?
I don't even remember what games, to be honest. I do remember.
What did your dad use it for?
When I was trying to install Doom on DOS.
Was it only you who ever used to use it, or did your dad used to use it as well?
Must have used it for something, writing his correspondences.
Right, writing his memoirs.
Thinking back, yeah.
Was it your computer?
No, I didn't have my own computer until I moved out at age like 17, although the family computer did make its way into my bedroom, quite quickly. And then I became responsible for its maintenance. And then I only played games in it. If anyone else tried to play games in it, I would just turn the power switch off downstairs on the fuse box and then tell them it was broken and, I'll have to fix it. And then, yeah.
Sounds reasonable. But yeah, I think it must have been Windows 95, my first one. But it didn't have, because, see, knowing we were doing Windows, I did do a bit of very, very high level research. Windows 95 was the one with the Friends video, wasn't it? Or not the Friends, the Chandler and, was it Chandler and Rachel? Do you know about this? Have you seen this?
I think it is.
They did a video that came with it explaining how it worked, because it was this big, shiny, fancy thing. Windows 95 was the big one. That was it became user-friendly and out there for the masses. And it was Chandler and Rachel doing the tutorial VHS that came with it. And we never had one. So I don't know if that was only in America, because I was looking at it.
Yeah, I don't remember that VHS.
But
I remember it coming with this really bizarre game where you just drove around this maze in this weird bloated thing. Well, my dad was playing that. I remember the day he set it up, and then I couldn't find it on the system. And it came with Wipeout, and we had Encarta that had this.
Wipeout?
Yeah.
What, the PlayStation game?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. You're a liar. You, sir, are a liar. Mine came with Descent. I don't know if that was a game that anyone ever actually properly played, but it was basically you were flying around in a spaceship but through really narrow tunnels. I don't know why you just didn't get out and walk, but because I couldn't master keyboard and mouse controls, all I ever did was the spaceship would flip upside down and I'd crash into the wall behind me, and that was as far as I ever got in Descent.
And Carter had 2 games on it. One was like a quiz maze where you walked around unlocking doors that you just couldn't complete, which really annoyed me because I played that for hours on end and would just answer all the questions and never get to the end of it. And then there was one where it wasn't really a game. You were supposed to just kind of work out how the Earth and the Moon would coexist, like rotating around.
I remember that one. I used to spin that around for hours.
And I once, and do you know what, like, I am 150% certain this happened, but I could never replicate it. I flew the Moon into the Earth and the Earth exploded. And
it didn't happen, you were dreaming.
Every other time I did it, it wouldn't happen.
Why would the Earth exploding even be coded into the software?
Dunno.
It didn't happen.
But this is what I'm saying. I remember it happening, and I remember it happening, and then me trying to make it happen.
Well, that's the sort of thing, again, if you just Googled that or had a look on YouTube, if it was possible, someone would have a video of that showing that it was possible.
Later then.
Minesweeper, obviously, was one of the big ones. Have you heard is it Minesweeper or Solitaire, the horrific news that's attached to Windows 10? Have you heard about this?
Dropped, hasn't it? And Solitaire you have to pay for, don't you?
Yeah, it's £10 a year to play Solitaire without adverts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or you can pay monthly at like I think it's £2 a month, or
That's
£10
excessive.
for the year to have. You can play it otherwise, but between each game you have to have adverts.
I thought that they were going to be charging, when I heard the charge, I thought, a couple of quid, probably like an app. And I was thinking to myself, well, that's fair enough if they're charging the usual app standard £2. But £10 a year, that's pathetic.
Does anyone still play Solitaire though?
I doubt it, but that's why it's even worse. That's why it's just massively, massively annoying people for no reason.
I imagine the sort of people who do it, because when I was at school, my girlfriend's mum used to, it was really weird. It was a weird setup. Let me talk you through the setup. When I used to go around there for dinner, when we'd finished eating, several things would happen. Firstly, my girlfriend would go into the kitchen to make Mother a cup of tea. Mother would then take the cup of tea and sit at the computer and play one round and one round only of Solitaire. After dinner, every single night. And we would have to sit there and watch her. Well, we weren't forced to sit and watch, but we weren't allowed to go up into her bedroom because we were only like 16 at the time. So
she knew all about you.
Well, I'm getting to that. So we could have gone into the conservatory, or we could have gone through into the living room, but there was no point going into the living room because after that one game of solitaire was done, her mum was going to come in. So we would find ourselves every night still sitting at the dinner table, watching her have her game of solitaire, egging her on to fail as quickly as possible, because then she'd toddle off into the living room, at which point we could stay in the dining room and I could get under her bra. But why would she? I don't understand it, because she also used to have a Super Nintendo in her bedroom. This is still the mother. Every night, she would play one game of Tetris on the Super Nintendo before she went to sleep.
Maybe she just had a mental disorder.
But people do get really into these weird games, and I bet she still plays one round of solitaire after dinner every night, assuming she's still alive.
The kind of person who just played the same game over and over and over and over and over.
He's looking at Anna playing Borderlands while he says this.
Sorry, Anna.
Leave her alone.
How many playing me?
But she must be devastated if she's got to pay £10 a year.
She'd probably pay more than that, though, if she could. But
she's had it for 20 years without having to pay.
They don't have to update, surely. Or
to get away from Windows 8, I think you do.
The worst thing as well is, or the silliest thing as well, sorry, is that you could probably find solitaire in a browser for free. You could probably download.
Wouldn't be the same, would it?
A solitaire game for.
I suppose if you're only playing one round, as long as the adverts only come on after, so as long as you don't get an advert before the first one, if it only goes between games, which was how I read it in the article.
The advert, again.
Oh yeah, but have you played Angry Birds 2 yet? That's on the free-to-play model, and I have to keep watching adverts on there to get an extra bird, because I'm not very good at it. And it's a full 30 seconds of just watching an advert for a terrible game. It's so boring, though. You just want to get on. You just want to get on to that next round of solitaire.
I played the Jurassic Park game on my iPad, and if you want to speed up your dinosaurs hatching, and you know there's only like 10 minutes left, you can watch an advert to speed that up. And I always think that's a godsend. I'm trading 30 seconds to get 9.5 minutes. That's great.
Yeah, but with with Solitaire, you're trading 30 seconds for time that you never used to have before, because you could be halfway through your next round of Solitaire. What if you got a really difficult game where you can only make 4 moves and then you're done, and then you got to watch another advert? You could spend 60 out of 75 seconds watching a bloody advert.
Well,
it's life altering for people like the crazy old lady. Maybe
Microsoft found that a lot of people were dying at their computers.
What, playing Solitaire?
Yeah, and so they.
Is Minesweeper behind the paywall as well? I need to know. Because Minesweeper always used to get up our Raptor charts on MGP, didn't it? When every now and again people would play a load of Minesweeper to get into the top 5 most played games that week. They wouldn't do that if they had to pay for it.
I haven't touched Windows games in so long.
No, I haven't.
I didn't even know they were still a thing until somebody was ranting about it. Anything else you have to pay for that's a bit outrageous, or is it just games?
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to have a proper explore yet, because the only time I ever use a Windows computer now is if I'm doing something for work. Any of the rest of the time I use the Mac because it just works.
Did you ever get Windows 98? I thought that was rubbish.
I guess I've got a disc of Office 98 in the garage that for a good 15 years afterwards, because my dad brought this Office 98 disc home from work and it had unlimited user license, for years, for every computer, probably up until I started uni, anytime I needed Office, I would install his old version of Office 98 with his unlimited user license and then just do an upgrade. So every time I got a new computer, I would sort of do the upgrade and get it the cheap way. And I've still got the disc out there, but then we started uni and got the whole thing for 10 quid or whatever it is, less than the price of an upgrade. And I didn't need to anymore.
Do you think this one's going to be like... Because what bugs me about Windows... I think everyone ranted about 98, and then 2000 came out. Everyone liked it.
Was there a 2000? I thought... So what's ME then? Why did I get ME? What was good about that?
Because you couldn't be bothered. So then...
I'm going to keep pleading. I'm going to keep pretending I don't get that joke.
Windows XP comes out and everyone loves it. Everyone hates Vista.
Right, hold on.
Which was inexplicable because Vista was great.
Well, I just hate people. Because how can anyone love an operating system?
I know, it's weird, isn't it? That's what I mean.
XP was nasty looking. It was all, there was no curved edges, there was no colour.
It makes me feel unwell when I have to use it.
It was, we used to, up until about 6 months ago, they were still running XP at work until they finally put Windows 7 on. And it's just
That's
nasty.
More to security though, isn't it?
But it's nasty, it's horrible. It's all grey and all blocky and all square. And then Vista was colourful and curved edges and beautiful pictures in your background. And from Vista, I started using the actual built-in wallpapers because they were quite nice and you could put one on rotation.
Was awesome. And then I remember being all excited when we were at uni and we were able to get Windows 7 before it came out in full glorious super duper mode.
It was just the same as Vista. Yeah. Which in turn was the same as XP. It was just it was just curvier and colourfuler, and it had a few extra sounds and wallpapers. And as someone who doesn't ever do anything particularly taxing on a PC, it was no bloody different. The only time it's ever been different was Windows 8, which was disgusting. How can you like it?
I don't know. I just see what they were trying to do.
Because I almost never used it, because it's only been out like 2 years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I never had to use it at work. For most of those 2 years it's been out, I've been a Mac user. So I've very rarely used it. And even a couple of weeks ago, I used to struggle trying to remember how to turn it off, because you don't press the start menu to turn the thing off. You have to go...
Right click on it.
You have to go... Oh, see... That's
You're
stupid.
Right on the start menu.
How is the layman supposed to know that? The only way I could ever figure out to do it was drag the mouse up into the top right-hand corner, wait for a bar to move across the screen, then move down to press power, and then in the power options you go to restart or shutdown. If you click shutdown, it would then tell me that there was another user still logged in, then eventually you could start shutting it down, but there'd always be an update to apply, so it would take 10-15 minutes to shut down anyway. And then, if you wanted to turn it back on again a little bit later, it would take 20-25 minutes before everything was up and running and ready to actually use, and it was just horrible.
What? No, it starts instantly.
It bloody doesn't. No, it doesn't.
If you're using that crummy laptop, aren't you?
Well, it starts fine on Windows 10, but with Windows 8, you could have started the laptop up, turned it on, logged in, left it to do its own thing, gone and cooked dinner, come back, and then turned the Mac on, started using the Mac before the Windows PC was ready to use.
I imagine that was probably installed in a dodgy way or something. I don't know.
I reinstalled everything at Christmas because it was doing it, and it didn't make any difference at all.
Mine starts up instantly, not a moment's worry. I'm looking forward.
But then you know fancy things like right-click the start button. How did you learn that? How did you learn that trick, eh?
I just did it.
Why would you just do it?
No, I just right-clicked on it. I set up some...
You're probably the only person in the world who knows the quick way to shut down a Windows 8 PC. And now that skill is going to be useless because you're going to get Windows 10.
You could set up cool things in it as well. Like I had a thing where I had a little search bar on the bottom start bar, and I had a
that's built into Windows 10.
I had a right-click thing so I could go straight to certain folders that I'd saved there, and all sorts of stuff like that. It's all...
Have you seen the most exciting thing about Windows 10, though?
Go on, then.
Internet Explorer is no more.
Oh, yeah, it's called something else, isn't it?
Microsoft Edge. Guess what their logo is?
The edge of something?
No, it's an E with a sort of device over it. It reminds me of another logo. I couldn't place it when I looked at it, but...
Do you know what's really dumb? It's going to be identical.
Oh, it is.
We polished it.
It's exactly the same. It is Internet Explorer. It's got the same logo as Internet Explorer. It looks the same as Internet Explorer. It is Internet Explorer, just with a new name.
Dumb. And also calling it Edge, that's a type of security device, so it's just going to...
But remember, they had to think that it had to be a word that began with E, or else they'd have had to change the logo. And that would have confused. Yeah, but people are dumb as well. So you've got to remember they're aiming this at the stupid masses who have been conditioned by nerds like us to irrationally hate Internet Explorer. They don't know why they hate it. They just know it's bad, but they don't know why. So they're using Firefox or Chrome. I mean, I wouldn't touch Firefox with a barge pole now. I hate it. It's rubbish. I would go to Internet Explorer ahead of Firefox. Yeah, I'm always Chrome or Safari. But
I don't even use Safari because it just makes me think of Internet Explorer, and I don't want to think of Internet Explorer.
Well, Safari's pretty good.
No, I'm not saying it's bad. It just reminds me.
But the layman doesn't know why they hate Internet Explorer, so Microsoft need to rename it. But there's an extra layer of stupidity out there in the general public who, if you make the button look different, will assume their new computer doesn't have any internet in it. So they have to leave the logo the same.
Say, for anyone like my mother-in-law out there, bless her, who I love dearly, but I know she'll ask me, you can still get your Google and all that if you upgrade to Windows 10. I can guarantee she'll either ask me that or has already asked my wife that.
So if
emails are still there.
If you're marketing or product design man or whoever makes the final call in Microsoft, what would you do with the Internet Explorer problem? You know people hate it. You know they don't really have a reason to. But what do? How do you fix that problem?
Buy Firefox, surely.
But the nerds have turned on Firefox. Firefox is full of security holes.
Yeah, but you can't buy Chrome. You can't buy Safari. Opera. Buy Opera.
Why would you do that, though? Why wouldn't you just... Because if you do that, because for years you've been able to choose those other browsers, and you've got two kinds of idiot out there. You've got the idiot who irrationally hates Internet Explorer, and the idiot who wouldn't know how to get on the internet if it wasn't for that big E on their computer that they press. So you need to be there. You need to fix it for both people. So do you have two browsers? Do you have Internet Explorer for the super idiots and Opera or Firefox for the irrational idiots?
Just put Opera on there and...
But then your mother-in-law wouldn't know how to use it. She wouldn't know that's where the internet lived.
Arrow internet here.
This is why you're not a marketing man, isn't it?
Do you ever change the background on yours anymore? I haven't, because this is probably going to sound awful, knowing I've got a family, but I haven't got anything I want as my background picture. I just can't think of it.
No, I haven't. The MacBook's still just the basic one. In fact, even on my iPhone and my iPad as well, they're just the basic ones. They've all got the same background because it's just the standard one that you get on an Apple device.
For a while to please my son, and then realised that it makes him want to go on my computer. The amount of times I've come into the side room and he's just sat there at my computer hitting the keyboard because he thinks he's me.
My Windows 8 background was a picture of me giving a sideways glance to an Easter egg that looked a lot like me. I think I'm the only person in the history of the world who had a picture of themselves as their desktop background. But then I never really used that computer, so that made it okay.
I remember the last time I think I probably personalised mine, I made a picture of me and my friends where we were on a trip, so there's a few of us in it, and then I superimposed the ones who weren't there into the picture. When I ran out of room, I made two of them small and faded in front of us, like they were two hobbits we were remembering in death. And it always makes me laugh thinking of it, because they were just there, like cheering with a pint in hand, but it just looked like faded hobbits from our past.
Another thing that this whole Windows 10 thing, I'm worried about.
Go on in.
For anyone starting the degree that me and you did next year,
yep,
they're going to have a whole semester where they've got nothing to do. Because we spent months installing and reinstalling and reinstalling and reinstalling Windows, whatever it was, XP probably. Yeah. Assuming they're not still forcing people to use one that's now 5 versions out of date.
I think they're installing 7 now. So I was chatting to some second years who I work with.
Well, assuming they're now going to move on to 10, because it's the one, it's free, there's no reason for them not to upgrade. So they may as well go to 10. And you only have to press one button and it just does it. It just does it all for you. We just
take that module out then.
We said, yes, please, install it, and then it's a pretty circle with some nice block colour and nice big numbers telling you what percentage you're on, and then a little bit later on a message saying this is taking a little bit longer than we expected, but we'll be with you soon, and it's all lovely and pretty and block colour and a nice font, and then it just turns on and it's there, it's working, you don't have to do anything at all. So it's broken our degree. Our degrees are now worthless because of this development.
No, there's lots of programming and stuff still there, unless it does all that for you now too.
I assume it probably does. If it can do installing itself, and you can now voice search straight into Edge, and it can now do that. You can use the internet without your hands. So I'm pretty sure you can just tell it what you want, and it'll program it for you.
How weird would you sound if you were just sat there telling it to type out the code for you in your real voice?
I think that'd be quite good fun.
I suppose it would avoid the issues of like missing semicolons and stuff like that.
And you'd get good at saying semicolon. Would you abbreviate it to semi, and you just keep saying semi over and over again? Because that would amuse me. If I'm just sat there in my office yelling semi every other word.
See, I'd be so lazy though. I'd just want to be able to just go
Perhaps if you could find some kind of elaborate rig where you could just perhaps move your fingers around and make the words appear on the screen without you even having to move your mouth, that would work for you probably. Yeah, we'll see if we can throw something together. Have you seen the super cool new version of the Microsoft ergonomic keyboard?
I think I'm on a very old version of the Microsoft.
I think we're probably on a very similar old version where it's the big spaceship version with the curvy front.
Yeah.
Well, now it's got a hole in the middle.
Why?
Because
they've taken out E and U and...
No, they've made them go up sideways like a volcano. So it splits in the middle, and then because the most natural position for your hands, even on the ergonomic keyboards we've got, all it does is takes your hands from being straight on to angled. It's still not if you just sat there on a table, your hands would be like that, wouldn't they? They'd be twisted round a little bit.
I don't know. I've used it so much now, I don't know where my hands would actually be. So
you're basically on a typing cone once you get into the middle. So the sides of it are still flat down. So if you're pressing Q, if you're pressing Q, you'll still be flat. But if you're in the middle around Y, you're going to be up on the edge of the wall to the central volcano.
Use the hole where Z would have been, because you just don't need Z. You can spell zoo with an S if you really want.
I think that would probably...
Or an X. Zoo.
Zoo. The hole in the middle, I haven't actually seen... I've only seen pictures of it. I hope the hole in the middle is the right size to put a beverage in. And you just put the beverage in a straw, and then
I'd put
you're
K or C there
saving
as well.
space on your desk. Well, the buttons are up the side of the volcano. They've not removed any buttons. I think you're misunderstanding what's happening here. I'm positive. I counted them.
Because 25 letters of the alphabet would work better as well. It's like
it means it's got 2 space bars as well. You've got a bit of space bar either side of the mountain.
Absurd. Why would you need 2?
Well, because then because if you're splitting the keyboard in 2, you still need to be able to use either thumb to hit the space bar with, don't you?
That's mad. Just replace one of them with a button that does something else. I was thinking the other day...
But then, you don't always use the same thumb for the space bar, do you? You rotate depending on where your other hand is, surely.
I usually headbutt it.
Okay. Well, you won't be able to now. You just go straight through and hit the desk, because there's a massive hole in the middle of the keyboard. Is
there a hole in the space bar as well?
Yeah, there's the space bar is 2 space bars. It's split in 2.
What's in between them?
It's nothing. There's a gap. There's a hole in
the Z there then instead of getting rid of it.
You don't, and oh my god! And also, the number pad is separate. And it's an optional extra. So
if you want to type numbers, you
still get the numbers across the top, obviously. But it's to stop this thing taking up your whole desk. If you want the traditional number pad that those of us who spent our formative years working as a bank cashier can just do them at hyper speed. It's ridiculous.
I didn't know.
It's an extra tenner to get the number pad now, and it's
Bluetooth. You could bring up a calculator and just type in the numbers and do all the maths on that until my dad showed me it one day. And that's very splendid. Does it have a calculator button on it? Because I can't get to calculator without the calculator button. I don't know how.
It's an accessory, you moron. Again, you've got a degree in this stuff.
Yeah, but I didn't need to use a calculator. I have a calculator button that does that for me. I press it.
Yeah, it'll have all the buttons that the normal Microsoft ergonomic keyboard has. Which it does have the calculator button. Why do they have 2 minus buttons? Which is pointless. Make one of them. Well, because one's on the number pad.
Yeah.
All the buttons on the number pad are replicated elsewhere on the keyboard. They're just all put together so that you can just really quickly type it away on one hand and do your calculations and stuff all over there, out of the way, which is why it's now an optional extra, because it's only losers like me. When you're typing in numbers, do you use that bit or do you do them across the top?
I use that bit, yeah.
What, you use them at the top of the keyboard?
No, the one on the side.
Really?
Yeah.
Because what I find is normal folk usually just use them across the top and often don't even have numlock turned on. So they don't even know what that bit does. I can't handle a world without numlock turned on.
Look,
you'd be surprised how many of my students don't have numlock on. And they'll call me over and say, my code doesn't work, help me. And I'll just go to add in a number somewhere, and all that will happen is the cursor will fly off the other side of the screen because they've got numlock turned off. And I just, the amount of times I've written numlock in big letters on the board because it sounds a little bit like an insult, but if anyone questions me on it, I could say it's just a reminder to put numlock on. Just shout numlock at them across the room.
That'd be a great nickname.
I'm going to start calling you numlock.
We need to get an accountant that we call numlock.
We do need to get an accountant. If anyone listening is an accountant, we are in the market for one at the moment, and we will call you numlock. But if you'd like to work for us, get in touch, because we need an accountant, because otherwise we're going to end up in prison.
We need your sort of accountant who is good enough to do the job, but bad enough to do it for free.
Yeah, and weak of mind enough to let us call him Numlock and never argue about it.
What's this prison stuff you mentioned? My brain just took a moment.
Don't worry about that. We're getting an accountant. Numlock's got it all in hand. It'll be fine.
Numlock. And when we
Numlock
get a
can be our
manager, we'll call him
Patsy.
Caps Lock.
I like the cut of your jib, young man. The mouse with this new... I haven't finished describing the new ergonomic setup yet. You're here hiring your support team. The mouse is also an unusual shape. It basically... The mouse is sort of sideways as well to keep your arms and your hands being at the most natural positions. So they're sort of piggy finger down on the table, but no other fingers ever go anywhere near it because you're twisting and getting carpal tunnel. So the buttons are on the side of the mouse, and the mouse is just a big mound that's as high off the desk as a coffee cup. And you sort of drag it around, and the buttons are on the side of it.
Weird.
Again, to make it more ergonomic.
I won't feel normal unless I have that pain in the centre of my wrist.
Well, I'm thinking of getting one of these because I use an ergonomic setup at work, because with my history of back problems, I can get away with getting a nice chair and a footrest and an ergonomic setup as part of my health and safety assessment. And I'm thinking,
listening, I might have to say the words health and safety assessment to him, and
because
I get the sack.
Well, no, I'm thinking these are worth a try. They're about 50 quid for the full set, so that's the keyboard, the numpad for old Numlock, and the weird fancy ergonomic mouse. It's about 50 quid for the full set, which isn't much more than the traditional ergonomic one. And I want to have a go. They look good fun.
Is it wireless?
Yeah, all properly wireless.
I've got a rat mouse. I can't use the coffee cup one.
Well, do you use your rat at work? I'm not suggesting for a moment that you buy this for your home setup. I really am talking directly to your employer
I wouldn't get
here.
my rat out at work.
Well, there you go then. Is the rat not really uncomfortable to hold? Because it's all angles and stuff, isn't it? It's the opposite of ergonomic.
The only problem I have with it is that I think it was a demo one, and so the batteries run out really quick on it. And
Is it wireless?
yeah,
Gaming mice are supposed to be wired, aren't they? For the
like
faster
a
response
super
time.
duper Bluetooth, it would have cost me like 200 quid to buy it, but I got a demo one from Mad Cats.
Interesting. So, if Windows 10 is by far and away the finest operating system you've ever used, and you're in love with it the way those nerds, you know the nerds I'm talking about, the way those nerds love Windows XP, would you go over to a Windows phone and a Windows tablet and go into Microsoft land?
Do you know, a lot of people are looking at this, aren't they? I was chatting to someone earlier today and I said I wouldn't go back to Android because I did it once and it just drove me mad. Windows would have to make their phones look a little less clunky and a little less lame for it to be worth doing. At the moment, I don't really trust them to just let me do what I want to do on it. Although part of me just thinks I don't really do that much on this phone. As long as I can get all the apps I already have.
Well, that's the thing. From having an Android phone and from having the Kindle Fire for 2 years rather than an iPad, that's the thing you miss the most. The fact that all apps come out first on iOS and only half of them ever make it anywhere else. And if they do make it anywhere else, they make it to Android. And then it's only the really massively successful ones that make it over to Windows and Kindle and all those other places. I mean, there was a long time where you couldn't even get our podcasts on Windows phones because there wasn't a way to do it.
Yeah, I remember we chatted to the person who was in charge of Windows podcasting platform. And he was adamant, yeah, you're on there. And we're like, well, no one can get us on there. And it turned out, I think we could...
The real reason no one could get us is because no one had the phones.
Yeah. And also, I think it was only in America you could get podcasts on Windows phones at the time.
Yeah.
They just don't
ridiculous.
do all these things that need to be done to make them worth using. Another example of a company that need to employ sheepdog, briefly.
No. Right, we are running out of time. We need to see how fat we are. So, do you remember our weights from last week? I need my phone.
A lot lighter than you.
I can't find my phone because it's dark. Is it in my pocket? No. Do you remember your weight?
Wasn't I 1811 or something like that?
I have no idea because my phone's gone walkabouts.
I'll weigh myself now and we can just go from there, eh?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll remember. It's not... Oh, is it in my pocket? No, it's not in my pocket. Ah! It's here. Hold on. So while you're on there getting yourself weighed, I'll look up how much you weighed last week. Right, come on phone, don't fail me now. Sheepdog is about to step onto the scales. Step on the scales, Sheepdog, while I find what your weigh-in was last week. Right, your weight last week was 19 stone, 1.6 pounds. And obviously you take your 4 pounds off because you're running on We Fit rules. So what's it saying you are this week, little fella? 18.12, so that's a loss of another £3. Is that £3? Is that right? Can I add up? Right, last week my weight, well, you need to get your microphone ready to commentate because I've got to put mine down. Right, so my weight last week when we did the show was 20 stone, 1 pound. So if I put my microphone down, oh, Sheepdog, it's still thinking. What have you done to it? It's probably thinking, I wish he hadn't had his shoes on because he's broken the thing now. Shall I go on it with my microphone so I can commentate myself and take off 2 stone for it?
It added £2 when I held my microphone. That's why I put it down.
Right, I'm putting mine down.
Yeah, I'm commentating. I was just letting you get ready. So you're standing on. Oh.
Deciding which side of 20. I'm dead on 20 stone by the look of it.
Yeah, so I mean you lost £1.
Yeah, which is not bad. 20 stone, £1 again.
So you're the same.
Yeah, I'm the same as I was last week, which, bearing in mind the amount of food I ate earlier on and I haven't had my poo yet, tactics are all coming together now. Because when I've had a poo before Wednesday's show, which makes it like a whole another week has gone, I'm going to drop half a stone on you. So
that seems a bit far-fetched.
You have no idea how much food I ate earlier today.
Yeah, but I had a Harvest mixed grill yesterday.
I ate half a loaf of bread.
Yeah, but I ate a steak, a gammon.
I also had a pork pie, a massive bag of crisps,
Chicken
2
breast.
donuts, a Mars milkshake.
Do you know, I was very good.
And then a massive... I felt awful after all that food as well. I haven't moved all afternoon. I've played 6 months on a Football Manager season because I've not been able to move because it felt so rotten after eating all that crappy food.
I said to my daughter, look over there, what's that lady doing? While she looked round, I moved all of my chips onto her plate. And then when she turned back and carried on eating, after about half an hour, she was like, there's just too much food, I can't eat it all. And she got really upset because she thought we were going to tell her off for not eating her dinner. And I had to reveal the truth that she'd actually been eating my dinner for the past half an hour.
What, so you ordered food with chips still, but then didn't eat them?
Yeah.
Why didn't you just order it without the chips?
Because it was just a mixed grill, the option they had. You know, go with a sausage, chicken breast, a steak, a gammon, something else. Some onion rings, which I ate because it's from there.
Ooh.
And a bag of Maltesers in the cinema. And about, as I said to you before, about 5 pints of Coke. So to still lose £3.
How can you... Are you some kind of internet millionaire and I'm not aware of it? How can you afford 5 pints of cinema Coke? You're talking at like 80 quid there.
I had the largest Coke they could offer, and then I went to the Harvester and had an unlimited Pepsi.
Oh, God, I've seen you with unlimited beverages before.
Yeah.
I assume
do you know what they do? They put a shot of syrup in them now.
What do you mean?
You have a choice between... you just get normal Pepsi, or you can hold down strawberry, cherry, vanilla, or lime. And you can also do that for the lemonade.
Well, you can get a strawberry Pepsi. That sounds horrible.
Well, they just mix it in with a shot of juice or syrup or something.
Sounds nasty.
It was alright. I only had the lime and the cherry and the vanilla, but my daughter...
What, at the same time?
No. My daughter had the strawberry and it's very nice.
I don't understand anyone adding cherry to anything. It offends me a little bit that they're on the top of mini Bakewells because I have to pull them off and throw them away. Cherries are devil food. They're nearly as bad as brie.
Cherry and brie are both very nice foods.
No, they're not.
Bloody hash browns that you like.
Back when I used to work at the estate agents, when my brother was working there with me as well on a Saturday, and I used to drive him in, and in exchange for driving him in, my dad would make us both pack up for the Saturday. On one occasion, he put some brie in a crusty half French stick thing for me, and I thought it was chicken breast and took a big bite into it and nearly vomited back into the lunchbox my dad had provided me with because he'd inadvertently given me my kryptonite. I can't handle brie. It just tastes like wet soap.
Brie's all right.
Wet soap.
It's also a weird name in Neighbours. Stingray's sister was called Brie.
I don't understand how you know so much about Neighbours. It troubles me.
I know a lot about the Timmins family. Stingray, Toadfish, Scott, Brie.
Did you know you can If you want more exciting neighbours facts, you can check out weirfromtheinternet.com. It's probably full of them. I haven't checked, but it probably is.
There's a good chapter in one of our books about it, isn't there?
I wouldn't know. I've not read our books. You can also follow us on Twitter at Kev Steve, or you can follow me at Lelujo.
And I'm at RB6K.
Or you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/KevinSteve. Or email the show, kevinsteve@gmail.com. We'd love to have questions for our mini episodes that you get for both being a Patreon subscriber, which you can do at weirfromtheinternet.com/pledge, or if you're on the old newsletter mailing list, you get an episode every week as well, exclusive. You can do that at weirfromtheinternet.com/bonus, I think. Yeah, there's a link to it on the website. You'll find it. You're intelligent. You're not. I wasn't talking about you when I was talking about the Internet Explorer people. Don't worry. You know who I was talking about.
You're really
someone
clever.
else.
You could set a little link up on your desktop to go straight to weirfromtheinternet.com/Amazon.
You should. Even if
you're on Amazon, you could click that, go straight to it.
Yeah, that's what the cool kids do, I've heard. Plus, it means we can keep an eye on what you're buying then. So if you're buying anything a little bit weird, we can, we know what's up. We don't know it was you.
That fella we caught buying loads of manure, and we thought he was making a bomb. We caught him, didn't we?
The fella who bought 80 Ethernet cables was a little bit weird, because that was all in one transaction. I never did work out what that was all about, but...
It was a genius, though, because that cost him something like 50p, but because it was 80 transactions, it meant that we got a nice little slice of kickback.
Yeah, it was lovely. He should do that every month, whoever he was, our mysterious benefactor. See you next week. How dare you talk over my exit.
See you later.
See you next week, boys and girls.
Have a good week. Got 21 seconds of snow. It's got 21 seconds of snow.
You should be talking at the volume you'll be talking at.
If it's Christmas, I'll be no.
Not rapping, because you won't be rapping on the podcast,
21 seconds before it's got to snow. It's 21 seconds. Oh.
Any chance you could try talking?
Snow.
Talk.
I'm just giving you a demo of the...
But you're doing that louder than you'll be talking.
Christmas #1 that I'm going to release.